So I'm doing my yearly rewatch of the best Dragon Ball series out there. Obviously, I mean Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, maybe it's not your favorite Dragon Ball series, and maybe you disagree with me, but you're wrong, so shut the fuck up. On my yearly rewatch of Dragon Ball Z, I decided to watch the show right from the start, because usually I like to start when Goku reaches King Kai's planet. And I know for the purists out there, you probably just shit in your mouth and puked it back up after hearing me say that, but that's when I feel like the show really starts to pick up. And besides, the Raditz fight isn't even that long. And the episodes leading up to Goku landing on King Kai's planet are nothing but filler. They're not even in the manga, or comic, as we call it on this side of the pond. So can you really blame me for doing the old I've watched the show so many times I can skip huge portions of it and not miss anything? Ramadama? No, of course you can't. I mean, it's like literally the only way I can actually watch TV shows anymore. Because all the TV shows I love, I've watched them too many times. So now I just basically boil it down to the episodes I can watch like an unlimited amount of times, and that's why I get through TV shows so quick. But anyways, back on point. So obviously I have watched it from the beginning at one time, but after watching the entire series, Raditz felt like kind of a joke or an afterthought. Especially since he was never really mentioned again by anyone ever again after he died. Which is even more funny because he boasted about how he had the ultimate power level, only for all of us to find out that he was the weakest villain on the show. I guess some would call him the little lady of Dragon Ball Z. Just not to his face, if you're a normal human. But before we found out about Frieza and much other stronger characters, Raditz was straight up terrifying. I mean, Goku and Piccolo were the strongest fighters on Earth at that time, and they couldn't even touch the guy. So let's talk about that brief period in your life where you thought Raditz was a total fucking badass.
What's the matter with you two? You could at least try to make better sport of it than this? You don't want me to get bored, do you?
Here comes the 90s. So I know DBZ came out in the 80s, but it didn't become super popular until the 90s in my neck of the woods. And Raditz brought that extreme 90s Generation X vibe to Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball X would probably be a better way to describe the show, especially when you compare it to Dragon Ball, because Dragon Ball Z took everything from Dragon Ball and took it to the absolute extreme. And it all started with Raditz. He was the quintessential 90s villain. A rude dude with a tude. Like if he showed up with a guitar and started rocking out the solo from Even Flow, I totally would have accepted that without question. It was a different time. People thought Hole was a good band back then. It was a really weird era. Raditz was a straight up fuckface. He would introduce the more cruel and sadistic villain that would continue throughout Dragon Ball Z's run.
You are the first Saiyan to ever damage me like this, my nephew. You are a true warrior who is worthy of being a Saiyan.
He led to the death of Goku. Spoiler alert. Yeah, Raditz didn't actually kill Goku, but he's definitely the reason he died. Piccolo had the honor of killing Goku, and he enjoyed it, that sick bastard. Well, at least for a few minutes anyway. But Raditz was so powerful and unbeatable they had to sacrifice one of them just to beat him. Raditz was so dangerous Goku and Piccolo looked like a couple of amateurs out there. And the only reason they beat Raditz was through strategy and dumb luck. He was bigger and tougher than Goku, and we never experienced Goku getting owned like that. Like, that was bad. Like, how can Goku and Piccolo get owned so easy? Like, they're the toughest of the tough, and they're made to look like a joke. It's very unnerving. Sadism. Yeah, Raditz was definitely a different kind of villain. Where villains in the past were conquerors who wanted and craved power, Raditz actually took delight in the pain of others. Just for the sport of it. And that's something that really only seems to exist in Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, sure, every now and then you get like a Goku Black from Dragon Ball Super, or like a baby from Dragon Ball GT. But DBZ was where it was at as far as villains went. Raditz was evil because he enjoyed it. Even though Vegeta and Frieza are much worse than Raditz, Raditz was the start of the new tone. And it was a pretty fucked up one, especially if your only experience with Dragon Ball was the original Dragon Ball series. Kind of a night and day kind of thing. Going the sadist route in Dragon Ball Z was probably the right choice. The show needed to evolve from Dragon Ball, and they did that. They made some memorable villains who had some memorable storylines, and they were just so evil and sadistic that it was perfect. Even though, like every Dragon Ball series since Dragon Ball Z has leaned more towards the original, this was just the perfect moment in time for all of us.
Now say goodbye.
Kicking off peak Dragon Ball Z. Raditz would start the chain of events that would lead Goku and the Z Fighters dynamic, starting one of the most plot-heavy and awesome fucking story arcs of any anime ever. On my most recent rewatch of the show, you realize Namek is the peak of not just DBZ, but all the Dragon Ball series. The writing is fantastic, and the sheer amount of awesome things that happened during that arc just shows that Akira Toriyama was in peak writing form. In the Raditz saga, and or if you prefer, the Saiyan saga, was just the taste of things to come. The first time watching the Raditz arc was completely badass. He was pure terror. Even with Goku and Piccolo's combined forces, he still outmatched them. And outdicked them. And that's just spooky. Also, part of me feels like DBZ was the show that Akira Toriyama always wanted to make. It's so good that hardcore anime fans and basic bitch anime fans both fucking love it.
My brother, just a sentimental dope. You're way too soft to be a Saiyan warrior.
In conclusion, me and everyone else who has ever watched Dragon Ball Z all the way through thought that Raditz was a badass character, and we all know it. His complete domination of Goku and Piccolo made it seem like he was this insane powerhouse, and we believed it, right up until we found out he was shit and was basically less relevant than Chaozu, and was weaker than Chaozu by the time Vegeta and Nappa arrived on Earth. But for a brief moment in anime history, this guy knew how to fuck. And that's how we'll remember him. Well, not really. We'll probably barely think of him ever again at all. And that's the way it should be. But I've spoken my piece, so let me know in the comments if you ever found Raditz a badass or not. And please like, subscribe, and share, and thank you.
Give you a death that is also worthy of a Saiyan.